Hi everybody, I hope and pray you're doing well. Wanted to reach out and wish you all the very best for the Christmas and the New Year period. As a company, we've recently made the big move to celebrating Christmas all together in July, and this year we hosted our inaugural winter drinks and celebrated staff in each region. And we'll continue to do that annually, in particular acknowledging the debt of gratitude that we owe to all of you, and especially those of us who really put in the hard yards in terms of your years of service with us as a company. We really can't say enough how incredibly thankful we are for each and every one of you in the millions of ways in which you've contributed to our success. In what has been an enormous year of challenge and pressure and rising to the bar and meeting the challenges head on. Another very difficult year of just doggone hard work in each of our roles, just to stay afloat in this industry and keep up with the pace of change. I know that in addition to what you face each and every day when you come to work, you also, like every one of us, face your own personal highs and lows as well. We're all human, and we all have to come to work and put our heads down while also going through our own personal life demands and challenges. And let's be honest, these can add incredibly to the pressure of just keeping on and staying strong, staying focused and doing our very best each and every day. And I am no exception to that, not at all. Among so much else, this year I find out that I have progressive multiple sclerosis. And like so many people, I'm sure, I said to myself, that's the last thing I need. One more thing on top of everything else, I have to face this as well. To be honest, it was a little bit of a shock and took a little bit to process as I came to terms with what it all means. After a number of weeks of totally overloading myself with everything YouTube can tell me about primary progressive MS, I began to realize something. The only reason why I was struggling so much was because of my expectations. Of course, I wasn't expecting to face this difficulty and this challenge. Actually, I was expecting just the opposite. I was expecting to coast. I was expecting the status quo. If I'm really honest, I was subconsciously expecting to have it easy, so to speak. I was expecting for some strange reason to be one of the lucky ones who just sails through midlife fairly scot-free, as it were. In other words, my expectations were high. Expectations are an incredibly powerful thing, both positively and negatively. They can either help or they can hinder. They can either be useful or they can be useless. See, my expectations were high in a way that was incredibly unhelpful. What would have been really helpful, what would actually be helpful, would be if I lowered my expectations. Rather than expecting to be part of the 1% who gets lucky, why on earth shouldn't I expect difficulties and struggles and things to be really challenging? Why should I expect to be normal? Where do those expectations come from? To be frank, lowering expectations is a process that can take time and be really difficult. But the huge benefit of adjusting my expectations was that I could then start adjusting the way in which I'd been thinking and feeling and acting, so that I was responding positively based on acceptance of the real reality and responding with value-based actions. See, I can't respond appropriately, even positively, if I'm not accepting the reality of my situation. Now, this is something that I do have control over. True acceptance of our present realities combined with a commitment to respond with values-based actions is what can make all the difference between bad, better, and even best. And I know that. So as a result, I've started to be able to accept and even be content with the reality that change is coming. And now that I have accepted it and am expecting it, I can start preparing to make the most of the journey and focus on doing my very best in the next chapter and in the next stage and doing that really well. I can start to focus on what is my response going to be? What values-based actions am I going to commit to in response to a full and true acceptance of the present reality that I'm facing? See, actually, there's a really strange side to me that feels slightly excited about my condition, because it means that I am going to have to walk the walk, so to speak, not just talk the talk when it comes to health and wellness and well-being. Having a chronic condition over the long term will mean that I identify all the more with why we do what we do. I'm all the more, now more than ever, committed to our company and our staff, because enabling people with limitations to maximise their own independence is and will remain an absolute passion of mine, as I know it is for all of you too. Who knows? Speaking of expectations, maybe I need to become one of our clients of our services at some stage in the longer term. And although I'm sure that's a long way off, it may also possibly be sooner than expected. And that would put me in a unique position, both as a director and as a consumer of our services. So that's exciting in a funny sort of a way. Now, I tell all of this to you, this entire story, because in many ways, I actually see that as proverbial for us all as not just individuals, but us all as a company. You see, we as an organisation, and in fact the whole industry, are going through a similar thing. We as a sector have been diagnosed with a long-term condition too. And it's going to require quite a bit of change, a lot more change, and bring many more challenges for us in the years ahead. And in order for us not to be caught unprepared by it, we also need to start to adjust our expectations. See, the recent Aged Care Royal Commission diagnosed our industry as systemically sick and needing transformation, needing fundamental change. And that's because the only way to treat our quality and safety and sustainability issues is to change dramatically and quickly. Unfortunately, we're not going to simply be given a cash injection to meet the growing and aging population of tomorrow, as well as the demand on better quality and safety in aged care. What we actually are going to have to do is go through substantial adjustment to become more efficient, more effective, and more sustainable. And what is the prognosis if we don't respond this way? The reality is that organisations that are resistant to this change will face growing financial and competitive pressures. Even now, in recent years, care providers across the country have already been experiencing a significant decline in their financial viability. And although we may look at Care Forward right now and assume that because we're going from strength to strength, it will just continue. I mean, Care Forward right now is continuing to grow, and that is absolutely wonderful. And we're so thankful to one and all for the incredible work that has gone on in sustaining this growth, which has really come from our reputation for quality staff and processes. And we're actually going to be opening a new Burnie office at some stage very soon in the new year. But burying our heads in the sand and ignoring the current signs of impending change would be like me ignoring my MS diagnosis and just assuming that my past and current state is exactly how things will continue into the future. I mean, that's a recipe for increasing the chances of the worst case prognosis. Because without a treatment plan with a positive response of commitment to values-based actions focused on making the very most and doing our very best with what we can control, there is every chance that the opposite will happen. Things will deteriorate much faster than they might have otherwise. The reality is that the ground from under us as an organisation is about to shift, because in 18 months from now, the way in which aged care is funded is about to be upended. No longer will organisations be funded to deliver care. Individuals will be funded to determine their care. And while political, social, economical, technological changes affect every industry in Australia, the aged care sector is likely to be one of the industries most impacted in the future. Competitive pressures and an ageing population with unique needs and wants and a changing legislative and funding landscape are all set to cause a significant era of disruption in our industry, which we will face particularly hard given our unique business model. The financial pressures on the current system and the comparatively high costs associated with aged care may result in our organisation needing to operate with static or even proportionately reduced funding levels per client. Already, for some years, we have been seeing new entrants, takeovers, mergers, amalgamations, new partnerships, and brand new business models which will continue to disrupt the status quo. Larger operators are headhunting smaller operators as well as new staff and competing to import the very best talent into their operations. And this will place increasing pressure on our organisation to retain and grow our staff. And the only way we can do this will be by demonstrating to you the real value and the benefit of being part of our company. We all need to come to grips with the fact that over the next 4 years, unless we transform our existing services, our business, our financial models, we will no longer be aligned with the department's reforms and policies, let alone be able to deliver safe and quality care that meets the expectations and requirements of customers and do it in a way that's sustainable financially. In essence, within just a few years from now, the rules of the game will have profoundly changed, driving a completely new approach to aged care design and delivery. Organisations will have either adapted and transformed successfully and transitioned successfully, or they will have come to the end of their life cycle as a company. It's big. It's that big. And so all of this brings us to the conclusion that we need to change. We need to change quickly. And we are determined to be one of the organisations that successfully adapts and transforms well and transitions well. Now, to be sure, not everything needs to change. Actually, most things don't need to change. Who we are, what we value, what makes us special, what makes us unique, they need to stay the same. Those things actually need to be protected so that they don't change. This is more about how, not about what or who or why. How we do things as an industry and as a company needs to be improved upon so that it's more efficient and more sustainable. Who we are, what we do, why we do it, while remaining unchanged, those things will actually be protected and safeguarded by changing how we do what we do so that it's more productive, more streamlined, and as efficient as possible. So let's remember, we have adapted to incredibly big changes in the past, and we grew as a result of the positive way in which we responded to those changes and those challenges. In the same way, the changes that are necessary for us and the whole industry over the next few years will create incredible opportunity for innovation and growth for us, and for everybody. And we are 100% committed to successfully navigating our way into the future by effectively balancing commercial needs to remain profitable with quality care that places clients at the very centre of everything we do. Time is of the essence. The definition of insanity is to continue to do things the very way that we've always done them and expect different results. I mean, we can fool ourselves by saying, oh, look, every provider is in the same boat. The reality is that we are uniquely vulnerable because for the last 20 years, we've operated with a unique brokerage business model. And if we put our heads in the sand and just ignore the signs, we may as well say to ourselves, we deserve to go extinct like the dinosaurs. Pride comes before a fall. But if, like industrious mammals, we force ourselves to adapt and evolve, we innovate, we compete our way out of this within the timeframes, we will, without a doubt, look back and say that it was the very stress and the pressure of being forced to change that became our greatest catalyst for improvement and ultimately success. Necessity is the mother of invention. Few of us, if any, want the scale and the speed of this change. Even though we all know that we need it and we all ultimately want aged care to be better in Australia, we all no doubt right now feel that we've been embracing years of constant change already. And I'm sure some of us have got that old feeling of change fatigue. Part of me wants to reassure you all. Part of me wants to reassure myself. Don't worry, things are set to ease. We've broken the back of the biggest challenges. The worst is behind us. But actually, I mean, the truth is more and greater change is coming. And it's coming thick and fast, and it will do so for the next 4 years at least. And we need to be honest about that. I need to be honest with you about that. I mean, again, not everything is going to change. Most things will in fact not change, but how we do what we do is set to change very significantly in a relatively short space of time. So we need to calibrate our expectations to the reality of what we're facing. It can be a hard thing to do, but adjusting our expectations enables us to focus on preparing ourselves for the road ahead. Then we can make the very most and do our very best through the change that is coming our way. So let's respond to the pressure by coming together. Let's adopt that personal growth mindset in every area of our professional lives. Let's all put our heads and our hearts together, because it's together with the collective mind and motivation of team commitment and goodwill towards one another that will be the biggest determinant of our success through these inevitable years of disruption and transformation. So thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you for holding on as we go through this roller coaster together. It won't be easy, but it will be rewarding. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Some of the best things for us are the things that we least want to do. And some of the worst things for us are the things that we most want to do. It's at seasons like this that we pray, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and grant me the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We're sure going to need a whole healthy dose of courage. So let's encourage one another, and let me encourage you. We all need each other. None of us can do any of this without each other, one another, and nor would we want to. We can do this. We've got this because we've got one another. We are both realistic and honest with ourselves and with you about the challenges that lie ahead and the changes that are required. And we're absolutely resolved, motivated, and determined to do everything in our power to undergo the business transformation that's required to adapt and transition really well. We're committed to values-based action, and that includes our absolute commitment to you, our staff, and to quality improvement and client outcomes. And we're absolutely focused on responding positively to the challenges before us and seeing them as an opportunity for innovation and growth that's not only quantitative, but is qualitative, an opportunity to lead the way yet again in business excellence. I am 100% committed to this company and its success both now and in the future over the long term. and therefore we have every reason to be optimistic. We know that together, not only can we do this, we will do this. We will do it. We have the internal intelligence, the resolve, the conviction, the commitment, and the resources to come through this next chapter in aged care bigger, better, and brighter. And to bring it on, I mean, that's what I say, it will be good for us. Just like my MS, I'm strangely excited about it because we're gonna learn. We're going to grow through this process. We're going to become better for it. It will be a net gain. It's going to give us the very things that we wanted and needed anyway. It will force us to change and become what we wanted to become all along. I hope we can all really rally together during this period and beyond in the years ahead and be united with the same vision, that same mindset of not only continual change, but continual improvement. So thank you so much for allowing me to share all of this with you. I wanted us to go on this journey together. And for that, we need to be open and vulnerable and transparent with one another. That's part of what we value as a company. We value our relationships, and relationships are built on trust. So Merry Christmas, every one of you. Merry Christmas. Enjoy this season of coming together to celebrate and remember the meaning of why we do what we do. Have a well-earned rest, stay strong, stay safe, and I really look forward to the new year of yet another big chapter for us on the road ahead. Onwards and upwards, always. Take care, and thank you so much, every one of you.